All right, guys, let's get started.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, this is Caitlin's work. We're using it as an example. This is the reason that I asked you guys for sketches, because anything can become a print if you like slap something onto it and you just make a few corrections. That's what we're gonna be talking about.
When I met Deb about last year, year before that,
Yeah.
she showed me how I could turn just something like this into a print. And that really opened up my eyes to what I could make and what I could sell. Because I had in my brain that the only things that would be presentable are finished, fully colored illustrations or paintings. And I hadn't considered that something like this might be something that people would want to buy.
Caitlin just told me something about she wanted the PowerPoint presentation to be perfect before she sent it to me. Literally the opposite is what holds true insofar as what I've figured out from selling a shitload of prints. Good is good. If it looks goofy, if it looks fun, if it has poppy colors, guys, people will slap that shit up. They will eat it up. So some principles that I wanted to talk to you about are
The what?
which is the mic?
That thing.
There we go. This is way too sophisticated for me. Less is more. So I know we tend to think that a finished art piece has to look like super elaborate and has to have all of these elements in it. Really, we just want to get our audience straight to the point that we want to make. So usually every painting that you guys love, it has a story. And we want to prioritize that story with the elements necessary for that. So you want to kind of get rid of the noise, and anything can have a story. By story, what I mean is the base idea of what you're trying to say. It can be literally a goofy duck someone showed me just now. That is still an idea. Like silly things are worthwhile. Silly things make you feel good, like stuff like that. It doesn't have to be too serious, or it can be super mega serious, but be wary of the elements.
Somebody who works with both very serious and very goofy elements if you've seen any of my work. So I'm somebody who plays in both sides of the field.
I want to look at some examples for this because I don't want to just tell you stuff. I brought up a bunch of images here that are just like prints that I've seen around, and it's not overly complicated. It just has something catchy. Every single one of them. They're all very different. So I want you guys to tone your ideas to the bare minimum, at least as like a test drive. The whole idea about this art sale, this first one, is it's a test drive. Make mistakes, figure out what works, what doesn't. We're gonna work through that as we go. We're gonna have these all the time, every 2 months. So what most of these have in common is there are a few elements to them. So for example, Caitlin's sketch, it had like the cat up here and it had the little dude who was like crouched, and the composition was kind of off, but those were two very good, very valid ideas. And what I would have done in the case of her sketch was put the dude in a separate print, and I actually want you guys to look at that. What she did is she isolated the dude and she gave it some very simple design elements.
Would you like me to?
I think I downloaded it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This was a little bit rushed. It's not the cleanest, but it's just a barest idea. So what I told her is that it has a lot of movement and the dude is kind of aiming towards the opposite side that his body is kind of going towards. So it kind of needed a little extra space behind him so that the composition kind of had a balance. Balance is kind of the key word here. We don't want to make anything too simple, too complicated. Like, above all, I want you guys to think about what you would like to buy if you saw it in an art sale.
One of the best pieces of advice I have ever seen online was if there is something that you like specifically like wish you could buy as far as like merchandise or like fan art or even just like your own drawings, be the one to make it. Think one, you can have it, and then two, there, if you want it, somebody else does want it. There is someone out there who wants the same thing.
You all have an audience. You just have to find it. And by catering to someone else's tastes that you may not or may not be sure about, not sure if you're going to get there, or if you do end up reaching the audience of that thing that you thought, it might not be the target audience you wanted. So just be truthful to your message, to your aesthetic, your kind of stuff. Make a lot of art. Don't try to be perfect. Like quantity over quality is key, because all of you guys, I can assure you, you're sitting on so much stuff. In your computers, you have sketches, you have half-finished works and pieces and like little ideas all over the place. Every single one of those things made you into the person that you are today. And like it gave you mileage, it gave you experience to kind of eventually down the line start making better pieces. So just make discardable art. So the thing that I wanted to tell you guys about prioritizing info, it's kind of about just grabbing the main idea of the person's image. So for example, hello. Say you had a sketch with like a crocodile and you had like a bunch of like different elements that don't quite fit. I don't know, most of y'all have like a journal or like somewhere where you sketch. And there's like a bunch of other stuff on the page. Just isolate your element, try to make the picture plane work for it. So this is such a simple design. It just has like this undulating thing that's your focal point. And this added element here, that made the world of difference, guys. I can show you the before and after of some things that have been my best-selling works. And you won't believe how silly it is. So this guy, this is my best seller by far. And like everyone always wants to get a piece of this. I want you guys to see what it was just sitting on my computer. If it will open someday. Ah, yes. Ta-da! It's not the same thing, right? I edited this in Photoshop in maybe 30 minutes. I'm not kidding. Like I was already in the print lab back when we could try to print there. We can't anymore. We can't anymore. Hans will have my head, but I just edited this literally at the print shop before they closed. And the basic idea of what I did, just so you guys can see, I mean what I'm saying right now. I slapped on 2 colors. I outlined the dude and I slapped on orange and blue and tried the blending modes. I just played around with the blending modes in Photoshop and I made this guy, and this guy has got me a lot of money. So if you have a sketch, you can literally work wonders with very simple things, like get that into your head. You don't have to make something perfect on the first go. You guys are sitting on mountains of value right now with all the stuff you've already made. Yeah, storytelling. I really want to talk about storytelling because we really don't talk about that enough. Where's my hello? There we go. So the thing I said before about like the elements, think of them as props. You have your main focus. So you have your main actor and they're trying to say a message. What props can you insert in your image to guide the audience to understand what's going on? So let's find an example. So here, for example, we have some very simple concepts. I guess this person is like stargazing, or maybe they're bat signals. We don't know. But we have this person and it's our main focus. They're right at the center. They're not the largest thing in the picture plane, but everything is pointing towards them. with very interesting colors that are like, look at me, look at me. That's part of what I'm trying to say with this. Again, with the simplicity. The interesting thing that I find about this is just the texture and the expression, but it's bare, just bare elements. Like it doesn't have to be that complicated. Same with this. So I brought this book that I want to pass around a little bit because this is literally my favorite artist. I've bought so much shit from this person. It's flesh.png on Instagram, or Chan. They kind of treat their art a little bit like a journal almost, and like they slap the most random elements on it. And it has very poppy colors, but if you look at it, well, this is early work. It really doesn't have an excess of color palettes. Like it's the simplest terms. And like they really insert a bunch of like little elements to carry you along through the page. And I want you guys to think about that as like, what was the term that we were talking about? Like, pasting different things on top of each other.
Collaging.
Yeah, collage work. That can help you a bunch. If you just have a bunch of random shit you don't know how to put together, play around with it. Sometimes you don't want to play with a bunch of color. You just want some black and white with a little pinch of color. That works as well. I'm gonna pass this around so that you can look at this, but this is one of my favorite spreads, and it only uses 2 colors. And these are just a bunch of random sketches, and they were all put on one page. And it has like maybe a texture. That's it. Like it really doesn't have to be that complicated. You can pass this around if you want. And take a look at your favorite artists and see what they do. Like you'd buy their art. Why? Question yourself why you want to buy that specific art and emulate that. Like just play around with it. So yeah, I'm gonna want to see y'all's sketches if you have those on hand. We're gonna do a little bit of a live critique if y'all are up for that. Yeah.
What if I have an entire piece?
It does not have to be an entire piece. It can just.
No, I'm saying like if that's what I have on hand, like if I was gonna use the piece I showed you earlier.
Yeah, that. So, I've also had people come to me with like photographs. I wanted to talk about some very, very basic things you can do if you're not very familiar with like Photoshop and stuff. By the way, you don't have to buy, yeah. You said what? The one before. What was, it's 2 slides. Yes, ma'am. So I imagine most of you guys have like original pieces, right? Just sitting around in your home, you don't know what to do with them. There's in a pile gathering dust. What you can do is you can take a good picture of them. You don't need to have a good camera because they rent them both here in the print lab. You can rent them, I think, for a week, and at the library. So you can rent
For like 4 days though. So.
Fair enough. You only need like a couple good pictures. So to make a good picture, you're gonna want natural light most of the time. Like if you don't have access, like if you have a very dark apartment or whatever, we can make do with, you know, fake light, but natural light is always going to be the best. And you probably don't want direct natural light. You're going to want it a little bit to the side. Say, for example, we have the window of your room and you don't want to put your print like right in the sunlight, slightly to the side. So barely in the shade. So you don't want direct sunlight.
Diffused natural
Yeah.
light will be the best for taking photos of these prints. And depending on the size, you don't even have to rent a camera. You can get away with the camera that's in your pockets right now, your phone.
Literally.
Most of the time, I've just taken pictures using my phone. Really, the only times you're probably gonna need a camera is if you're making anything very big. Phones are perfect for, you know, prints of most sizes.
By big, we mean like this size. This would be a 22 by 17 print, which you can totally do. Right now, I'll have to get back to you on where we're going to be able to do that. But for now, we're taking a look at the post office actually does print. So we'll see about that. But I'll get back to you on that. We are trying to get our own printer for the art org. So like, stay tuned. once we have more funds, we can do that shit all we want. We will be paying for the ink, we'll be paying for the paper. It will be our printer, guys. So stay tuned. You don't have to pay for Photoshop. You can literally go on Google Chrome right now and you can go to photop.com, and that has most of the tools that you're going to want to use from Photoshop. And it's great. Like I've used it for like 3 years because I don't want to pay for Adobe anymore.
Photoshop is on the library computers, right?
Yes.
And Photoshop is on the library computer, so if you have the time to come down onto campus, if you are not in the art department, you can use the library. I'm pretty sure all the computers should have Photoshop. If not, at least most of them should. Pretty sure the Macs should at least.
Yes.
But if you're an art student, and you have access to these computers, like you can use them all you want for that. I come down to this room or the print studio all the time to edit photos and do what I want with them.
One thing I didn't realize until way too recently is that I can just sign in on my device with the Georgia Southern username. So if y'all hadn't thought of that, I hadn't. But Photopea is always gonna be free. Yeah.
Or you could use this a little choppy, I'm not gonna lie, but you could also use the virtual lab on my Georgia Southern. The
Okay.
virtual laptop, the virtual computer.
I've never tried that.
Basically, you just log in using your Georgia, like, it's a link at the bottom of my Georgia Southern, so
Nice.
you're gonna click there. And then you sign in with your credentials and then you click like, I think it's full access, and then it should like load up everything with the Photoshop and everything.
Could you
Yeah,
send
I
that
could-
to me in DM so that I can like put that in resources?
Okay, yeah.
I
Frick
will just
yeah.
preface though, you're probably gonna need at least like a gooder computer because I have a laptop that I've had for a few years and it just crashes. So it really can depend. There's no harm in testing it out to see if your computer can run it, but just a warning, it won't be 100%.
Because depending on like the software is usually just like really like heavy itself kind of thing. And on top of that, virtual lab, the way it works for the most part, it's basically like emulating like a school computer, like within your own. It's like a virtual machine. So yeah. It can be a little glitchy and stuff. It gets you all the software and stuff like right there, but just be wary
Yeah,
of
that's
that.
what I was saying.
No. So there's 3 basic editing tools I want everyone here to leave already knowing. So if you want to open Photoshop real quick with like anything like a silly little PNG image or something, or nothing, open Photoshop. There is a tab, image tab, and right at the top you have 3 functions, and it's called auto color, auto contrast, and auto tone. I'm not sure about that. It's the top 3. So that'll correct, I can assure you, like 90% of the issues with like a photograph that you just took. So it'll fix your contrast, it'll fix the color a little bit, and it might make it a little bit more clear. So bear that in mind.
I've used it when photographing my paintings. They're more finished work, so it works really well with them. Especially with like a lot of colors and stuff like that, especially if it has kind of a sense of like what the picture is. It works great with like fixing the lighting on my paintings, for example. I did it for a print just recently, and no matter what, every time I took a picture of this print, no matter where, it turned out like weirdly yellow hued. So fix that just in an instant.
Another super simple thing. Also, I can share this PowerPoint with y'all if you're interested.
Yeah.
Once you have your picture, so sometimes you're gonna have your print like on your bed or something, and you don't want the print to have like your smelly socks on the side. So what you're gonna want to do is crop it. And if it's a little bit askew, which most of the times, let's be honest, it will be, you're gonna want to do Control T. That means Control Transform, for those who've never used that before. And you can left click and it gives you the distort option. So something that's like wonky like this, and it has your smelly socks and like the cover of your bed showing, you can make it look perfectly rectilinear, and then you can crop it. And we don't want to see your bed cover. Like, just keep it simple, keep it to the artwork. Even if you chose like a pretty leather background or something, like genuinely, that does not add anything to your print. Your print is enough. Also, Antonio is doing that right now, the transform distort thing, if y'all want to see what that does.
You can know if you have like a background that's really that you're really close to, you could probably bring it back in with like images from Google and edit them in a much nicer way and much nicer arrangement than if you were to just have some sort of strange border around the piece.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Um,
Trust me, you don't want that. Very important, which it takes a long time to get to know well and a lot of practice, but color is your friend. Most of y'all have like heard this, artists steal, designers steal. So I invite you guys to look up like a frame of your favorite show or the print of your favorite artist or like a picture of a sunset you took that you really like the orange of and color drop those colors, make up a palette. If you don't understand color yet, I got you. Like just grab something that you for sure know that those colors pop, you love them, and steal the shit out of it.
Sometimes if you have two specific colors in mind and you just want to find a color palette that sort of marries the hues of those two colors, I find that I often like to just look up like blank color with blank color color scheme. And usually it'll give you like sort of interior design swatches with color like full color palettes where they've already adjusted all of the hues, made them more like kind of married together, and you can even pull from these entire photo like color palettes. I do this all the time.
I can't emphasize this enough. Less is more. Less is really more. You don't want to slap 20 colors onto your piece. Keep it simple. 2 colors can even work, but if that's too complicated because you've got a lot of midtones and stuff like that, grab at most like 5 colors and you'll be good. Like, I don't know. Here we have like a little bit of a mid-tone and we have like 3 basic colors for steel guys, please. And this might be a little bit more than I can get into today, but if you're stuck on how to translate those colors onto your piece, if you use Illustrator, there's a very easy tool. Let me actually open it, because I learned that very recently and it blew my mind. But yeah, while I open that, I'll just keep going and I'll show you that in a minute. So color, trim the fat. You guys are probably going to want to clean up your images once you take a picture of your print. Say you dropped a hair on your print or whatever, like we just want to get rid of the extra sketchy stuff and keep the bare minimum of the story that we're telling. So I want to try to open the drive now and edit some of y'all's pieces. Oh, that's Kirsty. Just quick. How do I translate? Wait, I don't know able to see my phone.
Oh, you can pause it. Like,
Oh,
let me see. There's a way to pause the recording. Oh, are you trying to pause the?
yeah, I don't want them to see my sister.
I would first of all pause the recording.
Ah,
so I don't
yes.
see it, so be right back.
All right, who'd like to go first, Antonio?
Shout out to the guy who signed it.
Kinda ended
Which
with-
piece?
Let's came to the first one.
Technically, because he did like a driving simulator like test and stuff like that, where he would basically have like one week and he somehow like he somehow had much better speed and also like less steps. But he had the it was like, oh no.
The funny thing is, I know a guy who legitimately drives better than
In the mine, it's fine.
I already was.
I didn't want to like compromise the big. So I was like, oh snap.
Whenever he's so scared of getting pulled over, and when he
oh my God.
he like slows down.
Oh my god.
So he legitimately just does drive better.
Now we're thinking.
That could be.
Now we're thinking,
Yeah, that'll.
upgrades, people, upgrades.
So upgrades, people, upgrades. Yeah, I forgot the robots movie was anti-capitalist.
Wait, really? Oh.
See, I didn't know that, I don't remember, I was like, what they movie, I was like, dude, I watched that thing.
It's like never at the forefront of my brain.
What's
but
the
then
name of the
I-
piece? Is it image 3063 or untitled? Wait, let me just.
Okay. Wait, what?
Yeah, that one.
So
I don't really be thinking about my pictures. Alright, so this is already like more in process piece. Sorry, honestly, for you said no, girl, what? It's amazing. What I do for this one,
Yeah.
guys, quiet down for a bit so we can like keep recording the meeting. This piece has a lot of movement in this direction, and it's like the frame was kind of cut in half. I give it more space and like chill in. Phew, go away. Yeah, nope. Trick you. It's being weird. So this piece already has a bunch of like design elements. And so I literally made the most silly change in this. Ignore the squares. But already the character kind of has space to move where they were going. And I'd even stretch it out a little bit more, if I was being honest, and I'd add a lot more, not a lot, a few more fishies over there. But
Pretty simple, like these ones in the background, because the focal point's over here.
Yeah,
Use them to lead your eye to him.
okay.
This is a wonderful piece.
Thank you. It's really, I literally don't want to change anything else.
No, that's the only thing I can say, like you're turning it into a print.
Do you want me to look at any of the other pieces, by the way? Like maybe this one, I don't know.
Yeah, should do that.
Awesome. I saw this one on Instagram. I was like blown away. I loved the texture. Everything.
Thank you.
Let's try and. I can really tell that you're like playing with basic shapes and proportion and stuff like that, and I'm obsessed with that. What I really like about this piece is that it's using very intense color here and muted yellow in the background. One thing I might do just to emphasize what you're already doing, I'd make this this thing that you have going around the character, I forget what that's called, like the sticker thing, I'd make it a little bit larger. Okay. So it looks like this feeling that she's encompassing is kind of emanating from her.
You could make it a sort of gradient too, but just another suggestion. You could make this gradient where it either is darker around her and spreads out, or it's lighter around her and spreads out into the rest of the piece.
Yeah.
Cause that could be nice, just, you know, if you wanted to play around with that.
Sounds like a good idea. Thank you.
You're welcome. You could take a lot of inspiration from that piece that we pulled up earlier where the person there was a small figure with the lights kind of pointing at her.
Yeah.
You could do something very similar with this because like I think like a centered composition like this could work wonderfully.
Thank you. Something like that.
Like you can like have this kind of like gentle like gradient out into the, you know,
like I'm a blend, yeah.
Mhm.
I would also want to make her canvas a little larger. A thing that we all do a lot when we're learning, we're very shy. So I mean that in the sense that we make ourselves small when we take up way more space than that to like truly express what we're doing. Shoot, go away. Bye. Hello.
Just gotta not interact with it for a sec, then it'll go away.
So very small change. I really want to ingrain this in you guys. Very small changes can make a whole world of difference. Now she is drowning in her whatever is going on there. You know what I mean? And this could even be a little shorter. But yeah, small changes, guys. What other piece? Let's see. These are honestly so elaborate. I love this. Thank you. Who would like to go next, by the way? Antonio, we've got Rebecca, Marcus. All right.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
Oh,
It looks pretty. Let's go, boys. Got it? Yeah. Is it that? He suffers from the same issue, I think, of not taking up enough space. Are you gonna open? Oh, it's lag, okay, nice. I feel like he's a little bit squished in the frame. This is gonna be the major problem with most pieces, I bet. But yeah, see how you have like all the elements kind of squished? Everything's kind of squished. You can take up way more space than that.
I would honestly, I love the use of these red markings. I think you should push that even further with this piece. Maybe even like have some sort of a shape that separates him from the eyes and behind him. Like maybe some sort of almost like a Dragon Ball kind of like power up sort of shape behind him. Maybe even like maybe it could be transparent, it could be very like flat. I think that could add like just a nice addition to it.
We have our main character, and I feel like a lot of this stuff is kind of taking attention from him. Honestly, I like to see more of him and less of like the little blue stuff in the background. Can you please hide? Thank you.
I would also recommend the eyes and the mouth in the background. I think that they could work with the composition. Maybe if they were just like a slightly more muted color, just to kind of make Sonic stand out much more in the piece, make him kind of punch to the forefront. Kind of have this figure behind him, like instead of this being pure white, go with some sort of a gray or even some sort of a dark purple to kind of just filter him back to the background. Even a dark blue could be lovely, like just something to make it a little bit not so bright white, more subtle.
What I do like is that these elements kind of lead the eye towards Sonic, but it's like you only hafted it, if you know what I mean. One thing that you can do is like make the most of those rays of light with something like this. So it's emanating towards him. And you can like soften that a little bit.
Oh, that would be lovely, like some sort of kind of spikes pointing towards him.
I want you guys to make the most of the few elements you choose to keep in your piece to guide the eye towards what you want to tell. So like, this is literally such a silly edit, but I feel like he already has way more space to kind of be their empowered little Sonic guy. And maybe I would put the eyes a little higher, like it's kind of receding into the distance, and we can actually appreciate the evilness of this dude that you guys can probably tell me who is. I don't know. So yeah, I'm not gonna cut that out right now, but I put it like maybe around here and like make more use of the space that you already have. Like I'd even stretch it out a little bit.
Well, you could do that. You could also utilize the shape of them, maybe even simplifying them to add a sort of shape behind his head as a way to I use that as a focal point for his head.
And like frame him a little bit.
Because the direction of these eyes work wonderfully to point at him, and I think that you could even push that and utilize that very strongly.
I really wish I had a pen right now, so I could do this a little better, but let's try our best. By the way, these kinds of things with Photoshop, it's a very common issue that some of us do have classes where we learn this a little bit, but it's never enough.
Maybe you could try muting the colors a bit just to see what that looks like.
What was I saying? What was the last thing I said? Yeah, oh, okay, so I wanted to talk about the tutoring. So most of y'all have like tried to dip your toes into Photoshop at some point and like had no idea what you were doing. Or maybe you're taking a class where you're learning Photoshop or Illustrator or something like that, and you don't know who to ask. Like maybe you're too shy to ask the teacher. You're like, okay, this is such a minor thing, or maybe this is a personal project. I'm thinking of us implementing a tutoring system
for design programs. Do y'all remember that I was asking that a bunch? Like, do any of you know these design programs and stuff like that? Whoever like signed forms for us or like joined the org, you probably signed a sheet that kind of asked that kind of stuff, kind of to see what are the most used design programs. So yeah, be tuned into that because I want that to happen as soon as we actually have enough people. So yeah, you said you wanted to mute down the colors a little bit, right?
Yeah, mute down the color.
You want to do
of
that?
the-
You do your edits. I do.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
actually, I'm not very good with Photoshop.
You're
How
fine.
can I do that?
I don't know what you're trying to do.
Oh, just like make this color not so white.
So you can probably, I don't know, I'm trying to do like fast edits and nothing comes to mind. You can slap on a very thin layer of another color if you want.
Oh, that would work.
Like make another layer here.
There we go. It's been a while since.
And I think you already have black sampled, so you can press G. And now click. And then you can use the blending modes. Yeah, you read my mind. This is something that I do a lot for my pieces. I really like working with very dark canvases or like a gray canvas to start. And I don't want the highlights to be too intense. I want to be very mindful of what I'm choosing to highlight. So I'll usually slap a couple of layers just like this on top of the whole piece. And then I'll erase the areas that I want to be the lightest, like where the light is hitting our character from behind or whatever. And that really, you do not imagine how much that changes your composition. Like it gives us so much power, energy. But yeah.
I think this piece will very much benefit from having the space around him be majority black. And then having these sort of very vibrant elements pointing at him in this sort of triangle formation around the sides. And then allowing those eyes to be a little bit more pushed to the background just through the colors. This is a wonderful piece. I really like it.
Yeah. Honestly, I would change his eyes to have like a little bit of that. If you guys have probably heard of like tropes, stereotypes and how that's bad and stuff like that. But honestly, I'm already getting ahead of myself, but when you're working for a client and you really want to get their story across the most to the audience already has certain expectations about certain types of characters. So like the evil person, you guys have probably seen this in animation. They'll have like spiky edges and they'll use triangle basic shapes and stuff like that. And evil is usually associated with like blood, violent colors, and like very intense, like threatening looking things. Tropes and stereotypes are your friend. When you're working in like character design and storylines and like narrative, all of that, lean into stereotypes. You can tell a lot through very simple things that everyone is aware about, like play into the culture. And bless you, that was very cute. Yeah, just that about like the eye color and stuff. But yeah, this piece already looks kind of messed with. I did my best. I'm not gonna go too much into it, but yeah, it's all kind of just to talk about the things that I want you guys to understand with a few of your own examples with it. What else do we have here? We have Kai's piece. Let's slap this bad boy on there. Where'd you go? Where am I even saving things? Oh, I wasn't. Never mind. There we go. So what we have in this piece is there's a lot of very saturated colors. And there is a main character that is very hidden by what's going on. And one thing that I noticed about this piece is that there's no direction to the light. So the first thing I would do, if this was my piece, I'd add a light source. Let's say we have a sun kind of in this area.
I think that the light source is meant to be over here because of the shadow behind the trees.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ignore that if you don't mind, Kai. Because
Yeah,
from
you
the-
might yeah, cause that's supposed to be the river, the light source would have been
Mhm.
coming from that way.
That's why these lines are here, they're directional.
I feel
for the
that.
Light source.
What I do
Well,
want,
that's actually the movement of the river, but yeah.
my point with this was, this is our main character. And she's kind of hidden in everything else that's going on. There's a lot of information, a lot of texture here, a lot of texture here, here. And it's not working towards the story. Obviously, this isn't intended to be specifically for your piece, but rather for everyone's pieces to bear these simple things in mind. I would put the sun back here as a backdrop for our little lady over here. And it can be like peeking through the trees, and it can have like a halo around her. And I would follow my own advice that I just gave you guys. And I would slap a layer on here. Yeah, let's forget about that little guy.
Deb, I hope you don't
Yes, ma'am.
mind. I actually might disagree with where you're.
That's, I mean, yeah,
With where you're centering the perspective in this
for
piece.
sure, yeah, what?
I think the main character isn't the person, I think it's the landscape. So I don't know if it's necessary to isolate the figure. This reads to me as more of a, more expressionist,
It's
like,
expression.
yeah, more of an expressionist take on like, what's the period called? Or it was more focused, they would include human figures, but they would focus more on the landscape itself. Well,
Mhm.
I think,
It helps for scale.
Or like naturalism.
yeah.
There's something about like the landscape feels much more monumental and important when the person's small in the image.
I think that is the,
Yeah.
I think that might be the intention
Are
here.
you sure? Cause that was like the whole point of the like shadows and stuff, like I kind of left the sun out on purpose, if that makes sense, so yeah.
Oh, I was just taking it as that,
Yeah.
the landscape was your main focus
Yeah.
over the person.
It kind of
Which
was
makes it a little
both,
smaller.
it's kind of both.
So the only thing that I'm doing here, I literally just slapped one layer of shadow on top of everything so that I can delete the areas that I find important. So obviously we have the whole piece, right? And there's a lot of texture, there's a lot of stuff going on here. But if we were to prioritize this narrative wise, which I'm not saying it would be your specific focal point for this piece, this is a simple fix that can like bring attention to the one thing that you're trying to talk about. So let's say this is actually well edited.
Okay.
And yeah,
So you wanna omit the trees and put a sun there? I don't see how that would.
Oh, I don't think she's trying to tell you to omit the trees. I think she was just having, if you want the character to be a focus of the piece.
It can, I mean.
so what I'm
it's-
deleting right now
it's-
would be the areas of light. So I changed the light source. You used to have a light source around here, for example.
Yeah.
And I changed it back here so that the shadow of this lady is falling over the landscape. Because she is the character in the image that we want to think about. And you were playing here with the shadows of the trees, so you can do that from a different direction and it'll look like the trees are haunting the landscape as well. And like the light is kind of passing through the trees, and that's a bit of a story too.
That of course is what you want to focus on. It is up to you.
Yeah.
If you want more emphasis on the landscape, I think what you have is perfectly fine as far as the light source goes.
Yeah.
So it really just is what you want to focus on. People will have different things. That's what.
The landscape, because of the placement, like the shadows and everything, so there you go. So, yeah, because it was like the project itself was a landscape project, so yeah.
Yeah, I figured it was.
If you wanted to go a different route with this, you would probably want to work with giving a little bit less saturation to the colors. So the first thing that came to mind as soon as I looked at this is that it's just very saturated green, very saturated blue, very saturated red, brown for the trees.
Yeah.
And like our attention is being taken everywhere, like we don't know where to look. Especially considering that you want her to play an important part. So I would be maybe more choosy about the tone of the colors that you're choosing. You can maintain the same colors and maybe keep one color as, or maybe at most two, as the most saturated. So that our attention kind of goes laser focused towards what you want us to look at, and not at the whole thing, because we want the audience to look at your piece as long as possible and to try to figure out what's going on.
The attention seems to be a lot on the river. If you want us to look at the river a little more, you could just isolate the grass and make it just a lower saturation, just to kind of, so it's a different hue than the river. And you could even add some kind of like a gradient to the sky, just to make it a little bit less, just to kind of tone the color down. But if that's what you want to do. It's completely.
And if you're going for absolute saturation, then hell yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I want you guys to,
Different colors and
Yeah.
as you can see, I have different values, like I use sage green, I use charcoals and the marker as you heard. And just different, I was just playing around with different colors for like for the different tones of color. I hope I said this
Yeah.
right, but
I
yeah.
gotcha. But yeah, if there's anything I want you guys to take away from this humble little workshop, it's do what you want to do and don't try to please some imaginary audience that you think is going to want something, because they'll want to see what you're passionate about talking about in your pieces. Like they want to see your idea, not someone else's kind of cosplayed in your art.
Yeah.
That's very important. Let's see what other pieces we got. Ooh, we got newer stuff. Kaylin, sorry, say your name.
Kayleigh,
Kaylin,
whatever.
I love that. Which piece would you like me to look at?
You can pick.
We could start with a sketch. We haven't done it. We haven't really done any sketches
Mhm.
that were like unfinished pieces.
Let's see. These are so cool. We've got nudes. Oh my god. I would buy this, dude.
Yeah.
You choose. You choose. Which one would you want to convert into a print first? Mhm.
Is that,
Noted.
Is
I don't know if I changed anything in this competition.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to choose it, because it's already perfect.
Why don't we go with one of
I
the
want you to,
sketches?
you said what?
Why don't we go with one of the sketches?
Which one do you want to look at?
We could start with this.
Fuck yeah. What I like about this piece is that I feel like if we slap color onto it, it can become so much more playful. What vibe were you going for with this? Or are you thinking about? What music were you listening to?
like profiles of people in class, so it's
Mhm.
like somebody in Armstrong.
What vibe did she give you?
I don't know.
In
I
a
would
word,
feel
an
like
adjective.
maybe like an earthy kind of tone.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think, like almost like a nature type
Mm-hmm.
vibe.
Did she have the light of the window on the side of her face?
Yeah, she had like a light.
Heck
like a
yeah.
lamp next to her.
Well, I could see I could see a beautiful color scheme with maybe like a brown, green, and orange.
Heck yeah. First thing I want to do with this piece. By the way, this goes for every piece. Like I always start by duplicating my layers. So we have the original in case we mess up, and we lock that, we hide that, we don't want to mess with that. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of delete outside of the one thing that we want to focus on. So just that, right? And let's say I just grab a base color. I don't know, you said brown, right?
Yeah.
Let's grab a desaturated brown. And slap that on there. We're gonna use that as our background. And you said you wanted to play with green. That's a pretty green. I like that. Yeah. One thing I wanted to play around with you guys was for you to see the magic of blending modes, because that has helped me so much. And it makes such a difference. How about let me slap it?
I also have other profiles, not just her.
Yeah.
I was wondering if I could do one with maybe multiple faces.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking about like a journal
Yeah,
page? Oh my God, yes. I'm gonna be like super sloppy intentionally. And just exemplify this. I'm gonna play with the blending modes right now so that you can see what that does to your image. One that I usually use a lot is screen, because that adds a kind of depth of light to your piece without changing it too much, and it kind of maintains the lines,
Oh,
like the
that's pretty.
strokes. I literally did like 2 steps with this and already it looks like something. This is what I wanted to talk about. So I want you guys to play like with shapes and framing your character. I do want to make this a little bit lighter. Yeah. And did I? Okay. So she already has kind of like a roundish shape, and we're kind of thinking a little bit like bohemian type vibe. So I'm gonna go with like a couple silly little round shapes around her. And I'm gonna fill that in with a different color and we'll see what happens. Then we're gonna play with blending modes.
Wait, that last one was really pretty.
This one, the luminosity, or which one? This one?
That one.
And I can put that behind our figure. And we already have something going on. Like we did very simple things. And already we have like a line that's kind of pointing towards her. It's all kind of round shapes, so it feels safe, comfy, bohemian. Yeah. I didn't color pick from a piece that I had already chosen, but we can like grab any of these that I've been looking at a little bit before this workshop. This one, for example. We open that from Photoshop. Oh. And then we can steal from that. Steal, guys, please. Don't think you have to be perfect or that you have to be original. You're never going to be original. Everything already exists, guys. And that is a liberating thought. Also, if you guys have to go, thank you so much for coming. And luckily we're recording this, so you can look at it later.
Thank you for coming.
Do another layer. Slap that on there. And I'm gonna mess with the size of that. So what I did right now, that's Control T. That's to transform the object that you had. And then select. So like all I'm doing really is just playing with shapes a little bit. To make it look like something like there's a story. Like I want you to look at this because there's a vibe here. But yeah. I don't know what else to do with this, honestly, with the little time that we have, but I feel like this would make a great sticker.
Like.
Do you want to go
Oh,
through
yeah.
the rest of the PowerPoint?
Sure. What did I miss? Let's see. So the trim the fat thing, it was referring to kind of cleaning up your sketches. Let's grab a sketch.
A good example is the example picture I had.
You want to look it up?
Oh, it's the first one on the slide. In this picture, I have, whenever I draw, sometimes I swatch colors just to see where I'm like going. So like I have these swatch colors here that they're not really there for any specific reason. Cut those. You can use it's the bandage tool.
The bandage tool really works, and also like just color picking the baseline of what's behind your character and just kind of going over that.
Yeah, like you can clear this out. Like the cat is wonderful, it's a great piece, but it might serve better as its own piece. Or if I really do want to include it with this piece, I need to change the composition of them. But yeah, like getting rid of unnecessary sketch lines or doodles that you don't really want to be in the final piece, I would encourage. You can always make up new doodles, like I could change this, and instead of being just like this little thing over here, I could just delete that one, make a new one that's behind him, and have like the same sort of scribble pattern, but it's like behind him, so it's serving the composition.
Oh, yeah. Another thing, I don't know if y'all were able to take a look at the book, but there was a lot of pattern making going on. So like, let's say you're obsessed with frogs. You have so many doodles of frogs and stuff like that. You can make that into a pattern. And you can make that into so many things.
Show them the cowboy one.
You know where it was? It was the one you showed me last night with the cowboys and they're all Monica. Yeah. It was just like. There's so many goodness in here. Look them up on Instagram.
What's the name again?
It's flesh.png. That's why I'm vivid.png on Instagram.
Really?
Yeah, it's the honor of this artist.
Oh, that's sick, actually.
I was really love the profile. I mean, the portfolio. Oh, they're both. It's making me want to work on my own.
So this picture, if you saw it when we were going through the pages, they have a bunch of these drawings of cowboys, and they have created this sort of patterned, almost wallpaper, which serves well as its own print. But you could even take something like this and have some more big, more fleshed out sketch like this on top of it with more contrasting colors. Like, let's say we took this figure here and we wanted to make it on top of all of these doodles. You could take, make this like blue or green and contrast it with this as a background. But you can also, you know, take backgrounds from online, free backgrounds you can find, play around with adding those.
And this is the last thing to tell you guys. Remember when I just said, like, make a lot of art. It doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be good. Make discardable art. And once you've made something that you're really clinging to, and you're like, I made this, how did I make this? Step back from your pieces and think about them from a distance of someone who would want to purchase that, what you can like mess with to kind of make it serve you better, as in they are gonna buy that shit. Just step back and kind of get out of your own head, because we tend to like get so close to our pieces and like we'll stare at that shit for hours after we made it, and we are all biased about our art. But it's a good exercise, I think, to kind of think about it as if you're someone who has not heard the story of your art piece and you are just there to find something cool to slap onto the wall of your dorm. It's a good exercise.
And this is one thing I wanted to go over. And we've already covered that great artist steal. You've probably heard this a million times from other artists. But something else is like steal from each other. And I mean, in a sense where your peers are your most valuable resource. Being at college and specifically being in this club is an opportunity to interact with people on the same level as you that you may not get in the future. It's incredibly important. I've made some of my best work and I've improved heavily just because I have spoken with my peers and I have bounced ideas off with them. I have like been able to like get ideas from them and inspire each other. That's one of the most important parts of this club, is that we're a community. And yeah.
I can't emphasize that enough, because like I feel like so many people have come to me and they said, oh my God, I can't believe that this is finally happening. I've been waiting 4 years to see an art club. Or like, I don't know, they graduated like 3 years ago and they were still waiting for this to happen. Guys, we made it. We have a community. So like, make the most of it We're gonna be doing so many challenges, so many things together. So like lean into your community. There is so much you can learn from each other. It's not even funny. So make the most of it. We have a community now, guys. It's amazing. Yeah. Do you have anything else, Kate? I think we went over everything. Does anyone else have like pieces that they wanted us to have a look at? Also, feel free to step in and do your own if you want.
Oh, we didn't look at any of Rebecca's pieces.
Hell yeah. I love Rebecca's art. She is insane. I saw this one in the hallway, like this is already.
Oh, I didn't think that was you. That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, that's right. You posted in the Discord.
I did not see that. I saw it in the hallway and damn. The
That's right.
size.
I heard that meme and I
It's
added
like-
I added Rebecca.
Oh yeah. Let's go through all of it. Let's just adore Rebecca's art for a bit.
Oh, I love the sharks and the fish. Oh, whales. I love
Oh
them.
my goodness.
That's
The texture is so freaking cool. Not my mom calling me in the middle of this. I'll call you later, mom. Oh wow.
Oh, these are gorgeous. I love
That's-
these color schemes. I would buy a print of this right now.
Me too.
Oh,
these
I
are-
love
These
this
are
one.
prints already made. Oh my goodness.
If you sold this one with the cat, I would buy it.
You made this
So-
last semester, didn't you, in the printmaking class?
Before last.
Damn. But I remember seeing it like on the tables. Like Farber adores these pieces. He uses them as his display.
And he has one?
Oh yeah.
How many?
Or I saw, well, so I saw it last semester and I saw it like on the tables where Farber has like his most prized work.
I'm missing one.
Yeah, well, artist Steve, I'm just kidding. He probably has it in yeah.
I need to ask.
Yes. Oh my god. Oh my god. Sky Children of the Light, let's go. I didn't know anyone else played that.
I love the shoe. I love the lab of 2D and 3D together.
Right?
That is gorgeous.
That is so sweet.
Oh,
Oh
you
my
did that.
god.
I was
I
wondering.
saw this
if-
too.
Yeah, because that was one of the ones I'm missing. Oh, yeah, he has it inside.
Yeah.
Because I've been looking at it for a year.
I got you, girl.
Mr. Farmer, Mr. Farmer showed that to the lab.
Yeah.
And he can take those. I'm like, bro.
Venmo him.
Rebecca, I love
They're the best.
Oh, you should go and like let him know.
Put it out there right
now and steal it.
This composition is gorgeous.
It absolutely is. I don't want to change anything about any of these.
It's kind of like,
No.
like shadows, because like it's warping because of watercolor.
Yeah, I feel that. Your texture work is amazing. It's like its own mini movie.
Oh, oh my gosh, I remember your painting. I love how you used it in this piece.
That's where it started.
So there's a different painting that went into this?
No, I made this and then I really liked that like oils look effect and I used that in a different painting.
Wow.
I can't remember if I've shown you it or not. It's gorgeous.
It should.
Do send me anything.
With the oil slick, they actually made they like hid little shapes of different animal skulls in the oil, like in the shapes of the oil. And it's so subtle that you wouldn't see it unless you like look
Where can
really
I see
looked.
that?
It used to be in the painting room when I took painting last semester. They might have a picture they can show you.
Hold on.
Oh, yes, please. I want to see that. But I love your 3D work. It gives it so much dimension.
I love the rest in this piece.
It reminds me of a story
boy.
Oh, then you captured it perfectly.
I would read a whole storybook that you illustrated.
Reminds me of
Oh my god. By the way, are you gonna sell any of your crocheted pieces?
Probably not, just because is such a.
Yeah. Oh, I think I asked you about that already. Yeah.
I went down to.
Yeah.
I can't manage anything either. I felt like.
I mean, it's very therapeutic, isn't it?
Mhm.
it's very therapeutic. So even if you don't end up finishing it, it's still
Like I
like,
didn't even make the first.
yeah. These are so fucking clean.
No.
This feels like a Pixar movie.
Thank you, that's what I was going for.
Yeah, it definitely comes through.
It's sequential.
I would watch a whole movie about this cat.
Yeah.
Our girl is cooking.
Oh, I love that. The way that
Eh.
the trees become like the dots.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's
Yeah.
such a lovely use of like
Yeah,
that.
I like by every single thing with the cat. I thought-
Yes, please.
That-
Do you have good pictures of them? Do you have good pictures of the cat prints?
I think I do, but I also put like the original files that I printed for them. So I just.
Right.
Use that.
But I feel like these are richer.
Yeah.
You could use the scanner and.
They're like really long. So like.
You can just cut it.
You can. Like.
No, I'm not talking about your piece. Once you scan it, you cut the document.
Yeah.
You make it fit. That's part of what I was talking about. The edits in Photoshop.
You could cut, yeah, you could cut, or like you could scan each square of the piece and then just like isolate those. And
Right.
put those on another document where the white.
Why
is
don't you
the
print
white
a
of the-
design? A design. I've never made a design myself, but I think we really should work on those eventually.
Yeah. It's like. I gotta do. It's for the team.
Well, I'm not gonna critique your pieces because there's nothing to change.
I just got it.
God, man. I did not know you made that. Holy,
Oh, that's.
I'm so glad I got you on board.
What like art god are you?
Right?
There it is, the deer one.
Alright, well, I'm gonna close up shop because I know y'all wanna get the hell home and we are all hungry and stuff, but thank you so much for coming.
Get the deer one?
You know what?
The deer painting?
What are you talking about?
Rebecca put the deer painting in the file.
Do the thing that you're talking about. I don't know what you're saying. Go on.
The deer painting I was just telling you about with the oil slick.
Oh, you wanna send it to me later?
No, she just put it in there.
Oh, you wanna have that critiqued?
I don't think she wants to critique it.
What are you saying?
I was telling you about it.
Yeah.
We were.
Oh,
we were
yeah,
looking
yeah,
at
yeah,
it. Where was it?
I do wanna close up the workshop.
You can just look at it.
Okay. So yeah, I want y'all to know that you're welcome in my DMs anytime to like critique individually, like with time, any of your pieces, or like help you with formatting, help you with finding out where to print, which I'm on that guy. But yeah, I've been doing this for a couple of people where we agree to meet and we just sit down in one of the computers and we format whatever it is that they want to sell for the art show. Okay. And I can do that with any one of you. It would be like a little test drive of the tutoring sessions with like design programs that I have thought out for us in the near future. So let me know about that. You guys are all welcome to talk to me whenever.
I'm not
That's
great
fine.
with design programs, but you can come to me with like your sketchbook. Something that Deb did for me was I just brought my sketchbook to her and let her look through a few pages of it. And she actually put like a sticky note on every page that she thought could make, like I could use elements to make a great print. And she put sticky notes on way more pages than I was expecting, because I had maybe like 3 like fully illustrated pieces in that book, and half of them were like bookmarked. So you can come to me, I could take a look at some of your work and I could just throw some ideas at you, tell you what I would do, say like, oh, this would be a wonderful print if you're like feeling nervous about something.
So that concludes our workshop. Yay! The first of many.